All right, man, we're here. Beautiful Raleigh.
It was for you in the back, but you jumped in the bed of the truck.
It was knocked me out of the back of it. You peeled out so fast.
Well, listen, we got
a lot of power.
We had
losing it.
Ford F-150 potential sponsorship opportunity.
Oh, okay.
Was that 91 Ford F-150? I like that.
2010. It's in great shape. I'm glad you guys didn't dent it up. This is going to be an exciting team to watch for NC State. All right, there's no question. Look at this. We're going to got all kinds of folks here in the next hour.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man. Loaded show. Excited for the walkthrough with Coach Gibson. Just in talking with all these guys because they're excited to be here. You see some new faces on there as well. It's going to take some getting used to seeing these guys in red and black.
I can't wait to talk to KC, too.
Yeah.
They protected him a little bit in his freshman year. I can't wait to talk to him.
Yeah, there's no question about it. It's hard to believe, though, Dave Doran in his 11th season with the Wolfpack, 9-4 last year. They've won at least 8 games, again, in 4 straight seasons, first time program history. But they're looking for double digits and even more coming up this season. The Pack's got numerous incoming transfers, including a new signal caller in Grayson McCall. He makes the move from Coastal Carolina to Raleigh last year. Again, 1,900 yards, 10 touchdowns to the Chanticleers. And, of course, returning for the Pack, that includes the 2023 Rookie of the Year. We're talking about Casey Concepcion. You got Davin Van. Those guys are going to join us later on. Tell you what, all kinds of keys, what they're going to do with the biggest loss in the offseason with Peyton Wilson. Some question marks, but, man, the upside for this football team is big.
No, it's huge. And that graphic, a little bit misleading there for Grayson, right? 1,900 yards. You're like, okay, what is that? That dude has over 10,000 yards in his career. He was hurt last year, barely could play. He's a game breaker, 88 touchdowns. So last year was a bit of an anomaly in regards to production because of the injury. I think by adding him with all these weapons they have offensively, he's going to be like Chris Paul. He's a point guard, distributing that rock, getting it out. And quite frankly, I think it's ACC championship or bust for these guys.
Yeah, and I mean, you see all the big names, right, in the Ohio State transfer, but you look at the UConn transfer, Justin Joly. To me, he is a guy that's the missing piece in this offense, right? When Robert Anai's offense was clicking and Keaton Thompson was like that reliable tight end target, Jelani Woods over the middle, it was like that's the guy. Like I really think if Justin Joly has a great camp and beginning of the season, it's going to open up that offense.
Again, it's one thing to talk about the ceiling, but again, all these newcomers, especially on the offensive side, EMAC, and this was a team last year that at times struggled offensively. I don't think that's going to be the issue in 24.
And especially struggling to run the football. But you see Jordan Waters right there. And, we're talking about all these notable additions. How about Zeke Correll from Notre Dame? I mean, we got to talk about that guy. He is a war daddy. That is a guy that is going to be on an all-ACC team to finish it. Yeah. Got to see him in practice yesterday, Mark. He is so cerebral, so smart. Sitting in meetings, he's helping a young guy out. Coach says, Zeke, what do you see here? He looks at the board for 2 seconds and can quickly identify. That's going to spread throughout the entire offensive line, make them better.
Yeah, and at center, right, with over 2,000 snaps at Notre Dame, didn't give up a sack last year. I mean, when you have that guy as your anchor and then Anthony Belton on the left side, you're like, oh, wait a second. We have an offensive line. Oh, wait a second. We got a running back. We got a tight end. We got wide receivers. All these things they didn't have last year.
It's been a great year for NC State sports from the beginning of last year into 2024. I think it's going to continue this year. I think the fall. I think
they're
NC
medaling
State,
in the Olympics.
That's right.
No question. I think NC State's going to be one of those teams that it's not going to shock anybody to see them in Charlotte.
I completely agree, and we'll look at the schedule, I'm sure, later. But it sets up perfectly. And, hers, to me, it reminds me a lot of Louisville last year. When you have the opportunity with the schedule, you have the dudes coming in to do it. How can you take advantage and how can you make the most of this time right here?
Well, you got to. I think that's the thing is like you have to. And when things lay out like this for you and you're like, this is the year, and you haven't won 10 games yet, and you've never played in the ACC championship game, it's like now's the time.
12th season at NC State, in good company, most wins since 2013. There is the number. You will be tested at the end of this program because it's all about the Wolfpack here for this entire show. Guarantee you. All right, let's bring on the main man for NC State running the show. Coach, I just mentioned the 12th season. Man, time flies, doesn't it? Well, what's different now versus when you rolled into town?
Everything.
Literally.
Yeah,
literally.
Everything.
How about your football team? I mean, the eye test of this team. Forget about what was going to happen with wins and losses. Just the eye test of what these guys look like.
Yeah, we've got really good competitive depth. We talk about retention, and you talk about developing your roster and then bringing guys in with experience, and we've done well in all 3 phases of that. And got a good group of people that have been with me a long time, and we're all drinking the same red Kool-Aid around here, you know, so they know what to do with them.
Coach, one guy in particular that just jumped off the screen, and then when you find out he's a true freshman, Casey Concepcion.
Yeah.
I mean, what you guys threw at him, the amount of knowledge that he was able to hang on to. And I remember you and I talking over the summer. You said at the bye week, we were just like, let's go.
Yeah.
Is that rare? Have you ever seen something quite like that?
No, it's rare. I mean, you don't see it often. We were worried about it going into the season because we could tell he was by far our most electric player, but putting all that on a freshman. And as the season went on, he showed us that he had earned that, and that was the right move for our program.
With him and going, you know, being in his second year and you're leading the ACC in receiving yards, and as scouts look at him right for the next level, I know that's not where you are yet, but do they look at him as a returner too? Like, are we going to see him more in that role?
You will, yeah. If you just watched the last period, we were in punt return, and he was back there catching punts, and so we're still trying to decide where that goes, but he's definitely going to be a part of that return game.
Yeah, I know when he kind of reminds me of like Zay Flowers and his skill set, and he's able to break tackles. And I know scouts were thinking, hey, we could draft this guy first round if he can also prove to us that we can use him right away in that return game. And so getting the ball in his hands kind of any way possible was really the goal last year. This year, you got to say, okay, well, we got to ration the football because we have a bunch of other guys who have joined the team that can really do something big. How do you communicate that with Grayson, and how comfortable is he with that kind of spread it around type offense?
Well, I think it's great for Grayson. You know, it's not a one-man thing over there. He's got a lot of weapons, like you mentioned, the tight ends, running backs, and the outside receivers that we've added to the roster make it a more complete thing. And so we can still do a lot with KC, and we are. Like, they're going to have to know where number 10 is. But if you center your defensive package on stopping him, it opens things up for Noah, Dakari, Wesley, Justin Jolie, and then the running backs.
Coach, watching just the early part of practice, the one thing that's obvious is team speed. It feels like this may be the fastest team you've had.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I think we got some good. We have competitive speed. I think that's the thing I like. We've always had some guys. There's depth, you know, and so when one guy leaves, the next guy comes in. You don't see a drop off, and that's the biggest thing as a coach, because we all know it's a long season. For us, it's 8 games without a bye. You know, so it's the longest stretch I've had without a bye week. So we're going to need that.
You guys also have great game speed, right? Like, you might not be the fastest guy, but on film, they're always running to the whistle, right? So it looks like they're faster.
And the effort, and I know Coach Thunder and those guys coach that up yourself. Effort matters. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball for a moment, because that secondary, it was day one. Let me pull back the reins a little bit myself. But I'm excited. I see some veterans. I see some guys making plays on the football, interceptions, PBUs. It's impressive to see that. How much of a luxury is that to have a good defensive backfield as we think?
Well, it opens up the call sheet for Tony, you know, for Coach Gibson. He's a guy that likes to be multiple, bring pressures from a lot of places, show pressure and drop, and we have experienced guys, but we can play man, you know, and that's the thing that opens up the blitz packages for you.
How important is you for that defense? And just showing Davin Van here, you guys so often were able to only rush 3 and get pressure on quarterbacks in key situations. How big is that, and how big is that communication to those front 3 of like, hey, you got to be the ones who make the pressure so we can do all those coverage adjustments?
Yeah, you know, being a D lineman in this package, there's times where it's a 3-man rush. There's times where it's 4, it's 5, it's 6. And so when it is 3, they got to strain. They got to fight. There's going to be double teams for them at times. There's games going on where we can try to pick and get guys free on picks and things like that. But there's also a lot of pressures where it's one-on-one, and you got to eat when you get those one-on-one blocks.
Coach, real quick, the ability to get off the field last year, I thought you guys were sensational. Third down, it was almost automatic. Hey, and from a momentum standpoint, now that you got a kind of more of an offensive team that can really score, the ability to get off the field on defense will be critical again in 24.
Yeah, I mean, the drive start analysis we do on where the offense gets the ball based on where we stop them, right, and what our punt return team can do to set up our offense and our defense and our punt teams. And it's a big deal to go 3 and out, you know, and some we make a big deal. I would call it turkeys, you know, but just getting those guys off the field, whether it's a takeaway or a 3 and out, it's a big part of what Coach Gibson talks about.
All right, well, let's you get back to work, all right?
I appreciate it,
You got it. Hey, listen, it's a pleasure. We appreciate all the hospitality. I think good things are happening for you.
Really thanks for having me. Go Pack.
You got
Thanks,
it.
Coach.
There's Dave Dorn. When we come back, you know, you just talked about that defensive line.
Come on.
And guess what? Big man's going to join us, Davin Van. That's all coming up. NC
Blood's in the
State
bricks,
Road
baby.
Trip. It continues here in beautiful Raleigh, North Carolina. NC State road trip continues here on the first day of August. Our man Mark Herzlich's got a front row seat with Tony Gibson. Talk about that NC State defense.
We got a situation today, last play, 8 seconds left, trying to get in field goal range. So we're going to, this little 4-man pressure.
Little dime package.
Yeah.
How's it been with the cornerback rotations?
Good, really good. We got 4 or 5 guys we like a lot.
Yeah, that's great.
Here we go, base in, base in.
And it was great to get Aiden White back.
Yeah, really good. I mean, you know, you talk about one of the best corners in the country, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, the dude is 2 years without giving up a touchdown. He's just a steady guy, does things right, works his tail off. So.
He was really hot at the end of last season too,
Yeah.
so it was nice when you saw him come back out of that transfer portal.
No doubt. that was a big recruiting win for us when we did that. So.
Yeah. How's Caden Fordham done making the calls as a young guy in that linebacker spot?
Doing really good. You know, he's obviously he's been very fortunate to learn from Isaiah Moore, Drake Thomas, Peyton Wilson. Been in a meeting room with those guys, and you know, same thing with Betty. I mean, those 2 guys have played a lot of football for us. And, yeah, they're just they're extremely smart.
To me, training camp, right? Like training camp, off-season workouts, it's about building toughness and resilience. And like I've talked to you about this before. Why do we see so much soft football? Like, why do we see that? And how are you battling against that?
Yeah, well, it's, you know, everybody here, and we talk about it, you know, the transfer portal doesn't scare me. If a kid's not tough enough to play for NC State and the brand of football we play defensively, they can leave. I'll welcome, I'll escort them right out the door to the parking lot. But, you know, we play with a certain edge and do things a certain way. And we hold these kids accountable to everything. What they put on film is their resume. Yeah. And, you know, we're going to make sure that they play hard and play our brand of football. And if not, they're not going to play.
Yeah. But that's like the old school mentality. I mean, that's when I played. It was like, it was the hardest thing you ever did that day, right? Like, everything you did was the hardest thing you've ever done. And it seems like you guys' culture nourishes that mentality, and the leaders on this team, like, they foster that with the young guys.
Yeah, and they have a standard to live up to, you know, from what we've been able to do the last few years.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't hide behind that. You know, we put it up, and I challenge these guys to be better than last year's group, and play hard and all those things. And on Sunday, we hold them accountable. We make sure that they understand that they're going to play with effort and play hard. And 2 people don't fit with me, soft and lazy. And, you know, it's hard for them to play for me on defense if they're soft or lazy.
Yeah, no, I hear that. My wife tells me sometimes I'm soft and lazy, and that doesn't fly with her either. Who's good? Do you have any newcomers?
Yeah, Jihad Carter.
Yeah, I mean, we know him from ACC, from Syracuse.
Yeah. He's really fitting in really well with our guys and our scheme. You know, day 1 had a really good day. Yeah. We have Donovan Kaufman, safety that transferred in from Auburn. We really like. He's fitting in well. KJ Martin is a guy that came from Akron. Yeah. That actually I recruited at West Virginia. And
isn't it wild how that always happens?
Yeah, and it just kind of came full cycle with that. So, and then Corey Coley is a corner we got from Maryland. Yeah. So Chaz Wallace, a nose guard from Colorado. So we filled holes that we need to fill. And
do you see yourself rotating at that linebacker spot more, like trying to play more guys? I mean, you know, last year it was, you know, you can't take Peyton off the field, right? Yeah. You can't take Drake off the field the year before.
No, and you know, as long as we have enough that we're not going to drop off, we'll rotate them. And that's what I tell these guys and my goal is to have, you know, 5 guys in the rotation, and, you know, if they're good enough and we're going to keep holding up with what we do and how we do it, then I'm good. We'll play more guys. But if they can't, then we're going to ride the guys that are in there.
Right. You were mentioning off camera, you've got a little guy, a little young buck in your wings that you're saying, hey, you're going to be pretty good. Tell me about him.
Yeah, Elijah Groves. He's a big athletic kid. Was, you know, a really good basketball player out of high school. He's reminds you stature-wise of Peyton. I mean, he's 6'4", 6'4.5". He's gained 18 pounds in a month. So he's
feeding him good down here.
Yeah, he's going to be a creature when his time comes, and hopefully it will be this year. But if not, he'll get a lot of good reps and be ready to roll.
That's awesome, Coach. Thanks for your time, man. Go
Yes,
out to practice and have fun building these creatures. I like
yes,
that.
Sir.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
Coach.
There's old Davin Van. We're going to talk to him coming up here momentarily. But Mark, you just did the dog and pony with Tony Gibson. And let's talk about this Wolfpack defense. Really good last year. Great getting off the field. Created a bunch of turnovers. Kind of expect more of the same this year.
I really do. And, it's funny to me, the folks that think that this defense is up in Pittsburgh with the Steelers, with Peyton Wilson there. These guys just reload, man. And anytime that Coach Gibson is a part of your program, your defense is going to be elite. But for me, where I think this team can really take a massive step forward is the defensive backfield. Yep. I mean, I think they have a chance to be the best they've been since, this staff has been here. I ran into, Big Isaiah from a couple of years, Isaiah Moore, and he said, I love what I'm seeing. They're explosive. They're long. They're guys that are going to get after it and get the football.
Yeah, they are. And, they're going to have to obviously replace Peyton Wilson, and they're going to do it by committee, right? Caden Fordham is going to call those plays in the middle, and Sean Brown coming down from safety to that will linebacker position. Like, that's going to be big, right? He's a fast, rangy safety, and that now is putting on a few pounds and playing that kind of cover blitz linebacker role.
Right.
So when you have that, right, you get pieces filling in for where Peyton Wilson was, and then you think, okay, we got Davin Van up front, we have Rhett Hibbler up front, and then you bring in Jihad Carter at safety, right? And you have Aiden White at corner. And they've added other pieces, too, that there's going to be competition for who's going to be that second corner, right? And anytime you have that sort of competition versus this improved wideout group in camp, like that's going to be the position group to watch.
And I think if there's an X factor for this defense, I have very high expectations. You just laid it out there for the secondary. Sean Brown that you mentioned at the linebacker spot, kind of replacing, what they had in Peyton Wilson yesterday or last year. Speaking with Coach Dorn, speaking with this staff, they love his physicality. Long wingspan. He's a 4'4", 4'3" guy. It'll be interesting to see how does he handle that physicality, moving from safety, getting a little closer to linebacker with big offensive linemen trying to grab him. But running, tracking, blitzing, I have no problem with what he's going to bring.
NC State's defense last year out of sight, 20.8 points a game, ranked third in the ACC. Turnovers, they created a bunch of them with 24. Third down percentage, the best in the league. We talked about it getting off the field. NC State does it as well as anybody. All right, let's talk about that defensive front. Davin Van joins us hot and bothered, just the way defensive linemen like it in early August, right?
Yes, sir.
Conditioning is obviously key here. We've already seen, again, it's 1,000 degrees, but you guys look like you're in unbelievable shape.
Yes, sir. It's just summer workouts. We've been working hard.
Chip on the shoulder, still some unfinished business here?
Yes, sir, always. You know that.
Excited to see it, man. And Davin, I think one thing that's interesting about you is just your presence as a leader, who you are for this football team. We were talking to Grayson McCall at Media Day, and I asked him, who's the alpha of this team, of this defense? And he said you. He said your blood is in the bricks at this program. What does that mean to you to be that type of leader?
It means a lot. It means a lot coming from a guy like Grayson. But, yeah, it just means a lot.
What does it carry? I mean, do you feel that pressure? Do you have to do extra? How are you embracing, I guess, being the voice, the face of NC State?
I wouldn't use the word pressure. I mean, I enjoy it. It makes me become better every day. It makes me want to push people harder and hold myself to the same standards that I'm holding my teammates to.
All right, give me goals. What are Davin Van's goals for this year?
Double-digit sacks, of course, and then just
7 last year, right?
I had like 5.5.
5.5 sacks. Sorry, 7 TFLs.
Yes,
5.5 sacks.
Yeah.
All right.
And then just be the best leader that I can be. I've learned a lot from Zay, Peyton, Drake, all those guys. So just trying to take what they taught me and build off that.
Davin, a lot of folks already buzzing about the offense, but the defense never gets enough love. But you guys have really brought the heat. I mean, getting off the field. I know we talked to Coach earlier today. Third down, got to get off the field. How about some goals team-wise on the defensive side?
Like always, we want to be 70% or better on third down. Get at least 4 3-and-outs per game. Little things like that. We're just trying to focus on the details of the game.
When I look at your defense, for the last however many years, you've been so linebacker heavy. I mean, the star power that you've had, the leaders, one of the best, if not the best player in defense on the defensive side of the ball last year in Peyton Wilson. This year it feels like the secondary has a chance to be really elite. How does that help you, though? I mean, when you have a secondary like that, and name some guys, tell me who's back there, but how does that help you as a defensive line?
Yeah, it helps a lot. I'm real excited for our secondary. It helps us with allowing us to get to the quarterback a lot more because they can strap on the back end. But, you know, we got guys like DK, Jihad Carter, Kerry Martin, Aiden, of course, Cisse, all those guys. So I'm real excited, and it definitely helps us a lot.
You guys as a defense have always been one of my favorites to watch because you never quit. It's like to the whistle, through the whistle, you're always running to the play. I know my favorite thing always as a linebacker is when that defensive lineman gets out of that rush and goes tackles a screen.
Yeah.
How have you guys built that, right? Because everybody tries to. Every coach will say, hey, we want our guys running through the whistle, but I watch film and not everyone does, but you guys do. What is it different about the way you guys practice or train that allows you to do that?
I mean, it's just the way we practice. We practice, you know, you go off to get a sack. You can't really hit the quarterback in practice, but, you know, you get to the quarterback, and as soon as that ball comes out, you got to plant your foot and retrace your steps, run to the ball. So it's just habits that we've built in practice over the years.
Davin, how's it going against Anthony Belton in practice? I mean, a guy who's potentially a first-round draft pick, quick feet, very good athlete. What does that do for you on game day?
Going against him in practice is fun. It helps me a lot, especially this year because I'm trying to, you know, work both sides now. So it's not just me playing left in. I'm trying to play more right in. But, yeah, I mean, it helps me a lot because, you know, he's a great player, real big athlete, one of the best athletes I've seen at that weight. So it's a big advantage, I would say, for me on game day.
Davin, I know you like to hang here, but Tony Gibson needs your services. We wish you the best. Stay healthy.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all.
One of the best in the league right there. Davin Gann taking care of business. Everything's good. By the way, the Huddle road trip. How about Ireland? How about across the pond and then some?
Yeah, I'll be at home.
Yeah, you'll be on the couch.
It's misleading.
That's it. No. That's right. You're still in spirit.
The left side will be in Ireland. The right side will be at home.
There you go. The Huddle, Ireland, August 24th. It literally is right around the corner. We kick off the 2024 season. And when we come back, I mean, everybody talking about this offense. You know about KC, the Sunshine Band, but there's others. We'll talk about it next. Road trip continues from NC State right here on ACC Network. NC State road trip. Man, Raleigh, North Carolina, beautiful day for practice. It's the first day of August, but it's day 2 and for the Pack on the grass. And let me tell you something, man. NC State Nation is fired up, and rightfully so. Look at the transfers here. Grayson McCall, we're going to talk to him momentarily. Transfers from Coastal Carolina. Noah Rogers doing his thing. Jordan Waters, we've seen him enough at Duke. He is going to be a problem for the rest of the league. And Justin Jolie, man, that tight end is going to be really good too. Listen, NC State's got weapons. They're going to be dangerous. And with all that said, man, they cannot wait to show it off. All right, Grayson McCall joins us. Hey, Grayson, last week it was Charlotte suit and tie. Now you really have your business suit on. Boy, you picked a nice, cool morning to get to work.
Yeah, man, it's been hot out here, but always good to get back on the grass. The guys were excited, fire up to be back out here.
Grayson, something that was so evident yesterday when I was able to come by, see practice, you've got a receiver room. Yep. I mean, you've got some real guys out there. There's some additions that you've made, some guys that are coming back. Tell me a little bit about that room and maybe who has elevated this offseason.
Yeah, a bunch of dudes. I mean, obviously the guys you saw from last year, Dakari Collins and KC Concepcion, and then you bring guys like Noah Rogers and Wesley Grimes, and then you got young guys like Keenan Jackson and Terrell Anderson. So a bunch of dudes around me, man. They work hard, really bought in this spring to getting on the same page with route concepts and timing and things like that. So we're in a good spot, man. Got, 20 practices out here, but it's about time to go. So a lot of dudes around me make my job a lot easier, but love working with those guys.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome, too, because you didn't know all those guys were going to be here when you committed, I would have assumed.
Right.
You knew what you had. But what was it about NC State that you said, hey, I need to go to this spot?
Yeah, I think just what, they've been able to do over the years. Coach Doran has a very strong culture here and something he's built for a long time. A team that's been, right on the edge of winning 10 games and really winning the league. So something I wanted to be a part of, something that I was extremely intrigued in whenever I was able to come on my visit. And the people are great here. It's a family identity, and everybody's treated me like that. And it's been awesome, man. Really, really excited with the decision I made and just so happy to be here.
How did they show that, right? People talk all the time, hey, we got great culture and different things, and that's a great thing. But how do you see that in a day or two, right?
Yeah, I think it was immediately whenever I put my name in the transfer portal, they showed a lot of interest. They showed me that they wanted me, and really cared about me throughout the process and really, kind of gave me time to explore other schools and do the whole thing. So, and then whenever I was able to come on campus, just the way they treated me, I was here to learn football, learn the guys. I didn't want to, necessarily do the photo shoot and see camps and everything like that. I wanted to sit down with the guys and learn ball.
And they respected that.
Yeah, they respected it, and they were awesome. And the coaches here, they really care. And a lot of really good coaches in this building. So, it was kind of a no-brainer for me when I got here.
That's awesome.
Grace, it's only the second practice, but what about the leadership, the voice on the offensive side? Do you take a sense that, hey, I'm the guy, let's go?
Yeah, no doubt. I think, it kind of comes with the position. It's something that I've kind of always embraced. And then you bring a guy like Zeke Carell in, a guy that's, a 4-year starter at Notre Dame that's played a lot of football, played a lot of big football games, and he's really turned things around. Having him out here this spring has been awesome. He really, leads the charge up front, and he's done a phenomenal job. So, and then obviously Jordan Waters in the backfield. It's like having another quarterback back there with me. So, those guys really, kind of take the weight off my shoulders. But, I try to be the leader the best I can.
I tell you what, we're going to let you get back to work. I know you like to be chilling out with us, but you got to get back to work.
Yep. No doubt. Thank you guys for having me. Go Pack. A lot of work to put in, but we're excited to be out here and can't wait to get this thing going.
You got to stay healthy.
Yeah,
yes, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
Grayson McCall, taking care of business for NC State. NC State, I tell you what, last year this guy, Casey Concepcion, what a season he had. Man, you look at the numbers, they speak for themselves. The dude is a baller, and this year he gets even more help. I tell you what, watch out for the Wolfpack. Watch out for this guy. This guy's a star. Matter of fact, it's so bright. He's wearing shades. and it's not necessarily the star factor, even though you could go there. But somebody tried to poke you in the eye today.
Yeah, man.
Who was
crazy.
it? Who was it?
Jihad.
Dang,
man.
Ohio State guy comes in and goes, I can't stop him.
Yeah.
He's still a Syracuse guy in my book.
I hear you.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, what a year, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
What are we doing for an encore?
What'd you say?
What are we going to do for an encore?
Year
What you mean
two.
by that?
Year
What I
two.
mean,
What's happening?
What's
Year two?
24.
A year two, I would say that I'm trying to go for 1,000 receiving yards. I'm gonna be doing some punt returns so I can get in some more yards there. Trying to go for overall around 1,500, 1,700.
Yeah.
10 to 12 touchdowns.
Come on. We got it laid out. We got the blueprint laid out. I mean, it's right there for the taking. We were so impressed with your year last year, brother. The way that you did it, the amount of pressure, expectation. At the end of the year, everybody knew 10 was getting the ball, and they couldn't stop it.
Yes, sir.
What was that like for you as a true freshman, having all that kind of placed on you?
Honestly, it was honestly crazy. You feel me? But I mean, I have my teammates that I can lean on. I have my coaches that I can come to, talk to every day. So just leaning on the guys around me, just like made it better for me.
Yeah, and I think I'm a former linebacker, and my favorite part about watching you was how guys couldn't take you down, right? You weren't running out of bounds. You were lowering your shoulder into guys. You were making guys miss. You were consistently fighting for that extra yard. Have you always had that mentality? Was that instilled in you here at NC State?
I'm a dog, coach. I'm a dog. Nah, but I would say that I feel like my dad he drilled that into me while I was younger. So I feel like I just always had that dog in me since I was young, and then I just brought it to the college level.
You seen any more dogs come in this wide receiver and tight end room and running back room in the past year?
Yes,
Tell me about these guys.
Ooh, hey.
Let's go.
Ooh, we got Noah from Ohio State, dog. We got Wesley from Wake Forest. We got my high school teammate Hollywood in here.
I know. Yeah. How crazy is that?
Man, it's finna be crazy. Man, we got Grayson in here. We got Justin Jolly. This offense this year is about to be crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I know this much. The shades, I know that wasn't intentional because I know folks would be like, oh, man, he's going to Hollywood. This could be a new marketing campaign.
Yes,
you know
sir.
that?
Yes, sir. Hey,
got
Ray-Bans.
Ray-Bans?
Come and holla at me, man. I'm telling you.
He's got Ray-Ban vision.
Telling you,
right there.
man. You can't hide money.
Yeah, you'll be wearing those even in the primetime
Yes,
games,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
That's exactly. Listen, stay healthy. You're a great player.
Yes, sir. I got you.
You got it. There's Casey Concepcion.
NC State, unfortunately, they're waiting for basketball to start.
4th and 19 for Klubnik. 25 seconds to go. Here is your football game. Trying to extend the play. Throws it up for grabs. Incomplete. Ball on the turf. Dave Doran, 77 wins at NC State. He ties the legend Earl Edwards for most in school history.
I love these guys and I'm proud of them. I wish more people had faith in them. I sure as hell do. And tell Steve Smith in the studio, this ain't a basketball school. He can kiss my ass.
One of the all-time great lines. And did they show the Clemson just because of me and
yes,
you there? Was that
100%.
a personal
Never
deal there? I thought so.
It's never good when the last play says up for grabs. It's
yeah,
never a good thing.
Yeah, it's not fun, especially when it's not in the end zone.
I tell you what is going to be good is this offense, right? I mean, again, we were going to touch base with a number of guys coming up, but nevertheless, I think NC State offensively in 24 much better than what you saw last year. This was a team that won a bunch of games.
And the biggest reason for that is they just have weapons. And I think you have a very dynamic quarterback that's coming in Grayson McCall. So, to me, distributing the ball is going to be at an all-time high. Yes, we know what 10 is going to do. The exceptional, explosive ability that KC Concepcion has and was really forced into, action of being the guy last year. I mean, he was it. We've talked to multiple coaches and just saying, hey, at the bye week, we just flooded the game plan with 10. How can we get him the ball? This year, that's not going to be the case. They've got a ton of guys. Noah Rogers is going to be a superstar, a guy that went and started his career at Ohio State. Now he's back. Wesley Grimes yesterday in practice, guys. Shifty as all get out.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see them side by side. And then the big tight end, which you like a lot.
Yeah, Justin Jolie coming from UConn. I really like him, and I love his physicality. I love his speed combination. It's just he's a very prototypical, you move tight end in the pros. But think about this, right? KC Concepcion moved almost every play last year, right? They always were trying to hide him and move him. Now they can use Jolie as some of that move guy where you get KC, you can hide him, you can move him in motion, you can do a bunch of different things. And the X factor of all of them is Robert and I.
Right.
I mean, when you talk about mad scientist offensive coordinators, look at what he did with Brennan Armstrong, who I think Grayson McCall has better physical talents than Brennan Armstrong. Look what he did with Garrett Schrader, right, at Syracuse. He took a guy that, was a former wide receiver, turned him into a really good quarterback. And so what he's going to be able to do with all of these pieces, to me, that's the most exciting. And you're never going to have the same game plan week in and week out.
And on top of, hey, we should have a run game. That's been something that has been the Achilles heel of this team, taking that next step, in my opinion, because they haven't been able to do it. And they've had first-round draft picks at offensive line. They've had great running backs that are in the UFL, NFL, that just they haven't been able to take that next step. Jordan Waters does that. Having a potential first-round draft pick in Anthony Belton does that. But the biggest difference, as what you just said there in Coach Robert and I, life football offense is about mismatches, and they have all the pieces to do that.
Yeah, that's why there's so much enthusiasm about this team and what they can possibly pull off for the upcoming season. It is going to be great. See what the schedule is. There were notable games. You got a couple big ones early. Tennessee and Charlotte, the road trip down to Death Valley. We're going to know a lot about NC State early in the season. There's no question about that.
No question at all. I mean, you're talking about week 3, week 4. We're going to know exactly who this team is.
Yep, no question is right. By the way, speaking of road trips, we're having a good time here in Raleigh, North Carolina. But guess what? We got a bunch more coming up.
Keep it going.
We're heading back out to the left coast, Cal, tomorrow, and then it just keeps on rocking and rolling for the next couple of weeks. Again, it's August, boys and girls. Check the calendar. That means football is right around the corner.
Wow. This
I don't. This looks like in 24. Gotcha. NC State, the offense practicing, and again, I think all of us are kind of excited to see what this looks like in 24. Got a chance to be explosive, and of course, we're going to talk to all the coaches on that stuff come up as well. But when you start talking about NC State, man, you got to talk about this guy. He comes from Duke, right down the road to NC State, goes from the Royal Blue to the Red and White of NC State. Jordan, man, it's kind of a crazy thing here on Tobacco Road. We see him transfers all the time, but literally right down the street.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to it. Every morning I walk in, I see red, and it feels weird, but I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, I bet.
What all went into that, man? Because it is weird. Yeah. It's weird for us, too. I mean, we've covered you for so long at Duke. What went into that decision, and how ultimately did you land here at NC State?
Definitely my coach leaving, and Coach Elko. I love Coach Elko, though, and him leaving played a role in that, and then hitting the portal and realizing I could stay in North Carolina, be close to my family another year. They come to all my games, and then play some good football at NC State. I couldn't turn it down, and, they're always winning 9 games, 9. I feel like this year we can go way past that.
Like how way past that?
Yeah.
At least 10, baby.
Oh, yeah, ACC, right? I'm talking playoffs, all that.
Come on, baby.
But see, I like that, right?
I do too.
Like all the rhetoric out of NC State is not like, hey, we're going to be the best. We got to win a championship. And I always thought that, like, when you have that big goal, the rest of things follow. And how about I mean, I feel like you, particularly, this fan base has embraced you. At least all the message, everything. They're like, you're like this. You're second coming right now. Like, we need a running game, right? How has this running game evolved, and how are you going to bring your skill set to this running game?
It all started in the offseason, and with Coach Thunder and the way we work, the way we run, and then not just me, but we got other dogs and Kendrick and Dalen Smothers. Then we got DeMarcus and Jordan Poole who does all the dirty work. But then it starts out here running around in the heat. Yeah, and this is what we get right.
How that room, right? Last year there was questions. Okay, who's going to be here? You got 2 guys transferring out mid-year, and now you got a whole bunch of new guys, right? A couple guys who come back from injury. But how have you kind of bonded as a bunch of new guys in that running back room?
Well, I'm an old head, man. So
well, you are, but you're new. You're old,
I
but
come
new.
In, and it was great though. Nobody had an ego. Nobody was too big-headed or anything, because they all know we got the same goal, and that's to go win this ACC championship. Yeah. So everybody welcomed me, man, and now it's just time to work.
That's great. Last year Concepcion did so many things for this offense. You mentioned about all these new guys, man. It seems like there's weapons all over the place on this team.
Everywhere, tight ends, receivers, even the defensive side, but those guys work. And KC, man, he's a dog. the way he playing games, the same way he's going to practice out here, and I love it.
Let's talk about your offensive line, man. I had the privilege to watch tape with them yesterday.
Yeah, sure.
Saw them in a lot of practice. I mean,
he loves
AB,
O-line.
big, massive.
Right.
I mean, you've got some guys up there that can really move the pile. What are you looking forward to with that unit?
Man, I'm looking forward to some physical football, man. I love playing hard. I love O-linemen being dirty and nasty. And we got that in Zeke, and Zeke is a natural-born leader, man. He's always loud, first to do everything. Then you got we got a first-round draft pick on our line in AD.
You do.
And I tell him that all the time, and if he play like it, he could go first round. But I'm excited. I'm ready. I'm ready to run.
And I mean, you've seen that. Yeah. You've seen a first-rounder last year with Graham and the things. So what, I guess, does AB have that maybe Graham had as well?
Man, I've never seen a big dude that can move like that. And we call him Escalade. And he's big, man, but he run like a lineman, like a linebacker should, and he can move.
Wow.
Well, listen, I know you'd like to hang with us, but we're going to let you get back to work. Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Listen, stay healthy. Have a great year.
Appreciate y'all. Have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan.
There's Jordan Waters taking care of it. And, again, you're going to see him a bunch. And here you go. Most games with 24 or more points go down the list. Florida State last year with a dozen. Carolina goes double digits in their state. Miami, Duke with a 9 spot. NC State, man, I'll tell you what, they're going to score a ton of points this year. You can count on that. That number, if it's 9 this year, something's wrong. All right, Robert and I joins us. Coach, a nice, cool morning to get things started. So far, so good, I guess, with practice.
Well, yeah, we had 1 day, so this is day 2. We're still in the acclimation period where there's no pads, just, helmets and all. So a lot of focus on the pass game and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you love to see that. Coach, former offensive lineman, you can't tell a ton physicality-wise about your team till those pads come on. So for these first couple of days, what are you looking for? What are you trying to evaluate from your team?
Well, we'd like to be able to connect the dot. When it's time to throw the ball to the open guy. When the ball comes your way, catch it. Sometimes there's a contest for the catch. That's what we're looking to develop in these yesterday and today.
Coach, you got some veterans returning, but you got a lot of new guys on your team. Anybody who's young, who's fresh out here at practice that you're excited to see first time on the field?
It's we got a young running back that smashed it in spring ball and smashed it in the off season. Duke Johnson. He's young, first fall camp. Doing a hell of a job. We're looking for good things that come out of him. We got 2 receivers that came in January, Keenan and Terrell Anderson. And both of those receivers have sparked as young guys. And Jonathan Paylor just got aboard, kind of playing Casey's position with some of his skill sets, not all, but boy, he can run and he can go and he's a talent.
Coach, Grayson gives you the ability to have another quarterback with unbelievable experience. What things does he bring to the table that may be a little bit different from a year ago and with what your offensive approach is going to be?
Well, Grayson's a vet, and he's been in a couple different offenses, and this being the next one. But dang, of all my years, of all my guys, and all my break-in for first-year quarterbacks, he's the best, mastering it at a higher level. So, man, I'm really looking forward to keeping him healthy and giving him opportunity to perform.
Coach, you mentioned some of those young guys at the wide receiver position. You bring in some other vets as well in the transfer portal, and I only know that's going to help KC take his game to another level. What have you seen from that wide receiver core this spring and early in camp?
Well, God bless those Wesley Grimes and Noah. Those kids have really stepped up the wide receiver relevancy. That within 1 year, boy, that group is now booming and going to be a threat on the field. Going to be very relevant in the offense.
Coach, your defense is always known for toughness, right? You brought in some tough guys, right? Jordan Waters, you got Justin Jolie. These guys are physical, breaking tackle guys. Like, what is bringing more positions like that, an element of that to your offense, like to bring that toughness to your side of the ball?
Well, we can't omit Dante Daniels and the contribution he's going to make. Dante weighed in at 275. He's 6'7". So there's a big, tough guy for you. He came right out of junior college. Junior college, man, I coached 4 years. Every kid's got a story, and every kid's underfed. But Dante got here in January, and, boy, we put him on the trading table and put him with our strength people. And, boy, that kid is just – that's the tight end we're looking for. 6'7", 275. So Dante's there. Justin is 250 pounds at 6'4", so he's not a flyweight. So we look for contributions for Justin in that tough man world with Dante. And so those are kind of the new element pieces that we look for contributions in the box blocking.
Coach, listen, stay healthy. It's August. The countdown is on. We look forward to watching the Pack. You guys have huge upside and can't wait to see what it looks like for 24. But have a healthy practice for the rest of the month, my man. Appreciate it. NC State, I tell you what, not only are they good and going to be good, but I'll tell you what's really good. This schedule. If you're an NC State, road trip to Death Valley a couple weeks later, humongous game. But you're talking about manageable for a team that expects to be a double-digit winning team, a team that could be in the college football playoff, an ACC champion. You got to look at this schedule now.
There's no question about it. And here's the deal. At Media Day, Hers, we kind of came up with our top 6 teams going into the preseason that we felt really good about, and it was pretty close to unanimous there. Out of the possible 5 opponents that NC State could play, they have one of those teams.
Right.
You talk about favorable. You talk about the stars aligning and everything happening or setting up to happen this year for NC State. You have to take advantage of it. When you have this type of opportunity right there for you, 10 wins, I mean, we better sleepwalk to 10 wins. I'm not disrespecting anybody, but for the second time ever, they have that opportunity.
Yeah, and I think they can do it. And it just, right, you start fast. I think the one concern and why camp is so important right now is you got to start fast because it's week 2 when it hits you in the face. And if you beat Tennessee, right, then you got Clemson coming another 2 weeks later. So those first 4 weeks are going to be really big, right? You're going to have to find out. You're trying to get big leads, find out what you have as backup quarterback, right? Week 1, week 3, week 2, and week 4. You got to really win. And then the rest of the schedule is going to be a lot of teams we don't really know what they're going to be like. Sure. So you should beat those teams. And then UNC at the end could be, another major one.
And the biggest thing to me, you talk about starting in a hurry. I always loved when we opened at Clemson with Georgia, with Auburn, because it created a different sense of urgency throughout camp because it's right there. You got to go. We have to be ready. As you said, with Clemson week 4, Tennessee week 2, that they do have the luxury of a warm-up game. They all count. We don't do preseason in college football, but there's a different sense of urgency out here, and they understand the task at hand.
Yeah, NC State has won 9 games 13 times in their history. Dave Doran's done it 4 times, but 9 is now no longer like, okay, cool, we've done that, check. Let's get the double digits. You mentioned Phillip Rivers way back in 2002, got to double digits, but this is a team that thinks they're going to win the ACC championship, get in the college football playoff, and just kind of shatter all these scenarios.
And they're embracing that too.
No question.
Every guy that you've talked to, or if you talk to them off camera, they know that. And I think that's important.
Yep, there's no question about that. By the way, they let me out of the NC State road trip. Great time here in Raleigh, North Carolina today, watching a really talented team practice. I know it's August. It's go time for the Wolfpack and everybody else for that matter. But, man, this is a team that is good enough to get to Charlotte and win an ACC title. ACC preseason poll came out earlier this week. The media, 170 media voters, 8 different teams received at least the first-place vote. As you see, NC State received 8 first-place votes. They're in the 4 slot, which leads and begs the question, gentlemen, where do you think NC State will finish in 24?
Yeah, I've got them in the top 4, man. I really do. And I know that's maybe a little bit of a soft answer. It doesn't give you a definitive number. But I think 2 things. That's how deep this league is this year. And we're talking about a potential team that may win 10-plus games being in the top 4, not number 1 or number 2. And I think that gets you really excited. But the talent they have at wide receiver unit specifically, they make a big jump. I think they're right there fighting for Charlotte.
Yeah, I think this is a team that has an X factor in the coaching staff, right? The coaching staff has been here for a long time. Dave Doran in his 12th season knows how to build winning teams. You got Robert and I on offense. He's like a mad scientist with putting guys in right places. And so when you get his influx of talent, the biggest shame you can do is not utilize them correctly, right, in order to produce his wins. And Tony Gibson on the defensive side, he's been doing it consistently. So to me, all those players are great. The coaching staff is going to get that going. I see them in the championship game in Charlotte.
I remember a year ago we were trying to do the old crystal ball, and I said, man, Louisville's schedule, I think they're going to score a lot of points. Jeff Brom's going to scheme them up. I think they're going to get to the championship game. I kind of feel the same way with NC State this year. It's the schedule's right, but more importantly, the team is right.
Yes.
Grayson McCall, you already got great experience. You saw the swagger today in our conversation, even watching them in practice. But this team offensively is going to be much better than they were a year ago, and I still expect that defense to be salty.
100%. And you just look at that offense. The headliner is KC Concepcion, but all the additions, Noah Rogers coming in, Joe Lee, the tight end coming in, Waters at running back, Grimes from Wake Forest, stud at wide receiver. Because of those guys coming in, that alleviates some pressure on him. He can now just be a star and not have to be the whole team and do everything.
Yeah, you beat Tennessee week 2, you beat Clemson week 4. Smooth sailing from there, right? You get a lot of teams that we're unsure about. They can capitalize on those. They find themselves in Charlotte.
Look out.
And then some. And then some. The road trip again, a great time here at NC State, but guess what? The cool thing about this league, fake left, go right. Tomorrow, let's go from Raleigh, North Carolina, back over to the other side of the universe, heading to Berkeley. That's it, Cal, baby. Get this one all over you. The gang will be out there in the Bay Area having a good time. It's all about Cal tomorrow. And again, this guy, Jaden Ott.
Come on.
Get ready, boys and girls. Grab your popcorn. He can play for anybody in the country. He'll be hanging out with Eddie. Again, everybody locked up. And again, Justin Wilcox, new guy to know too, did a tremendous job last year. So thanks to everybody. Great staff here at NC State. All the smart people back in Bristol, the movers and shakers and all that good stuff. Folks, enjoy it. It's adios from Raleigh, North Carolina.